Hi, and welcome to another teaching video. I hope you're finding these useful. This one is for High Meadows, which is from A Walk in the Mountains. High Meadows is in 3 flats, it's 4 pages. The key is actually B flat mixolydian, which is so fancy, isn't it? In the recording of this piece, I played it pretty quickly. It actually works just fine at a slower tempo. Right away, you may notice that although it's in 4/4, the pulse is 3/3/2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. This is set up right at the very beginning of the piece. Now, the first 4 bars use a knocking on the soundboard. I chose to use my middle knuckle for this sound. Try different parts of your harp. Try different fingers. You may like a different sound. I liked the projecting sound of the knock because this is a piece about nature. It reminded me of woodpeckers. To set up for this piece, go ahead and reach for that 10th in the left hand. The right hand is ready to knock. When you add the melody, you can lean into the pulse of that rhythm. Notice that in the right hand, there's times I choose to just use the index finger. I like the very projected sound it gets by just using that finger. Whereas in their left hand, I do place back and forth. In measures 9 through 12, I like to play the first 2 bars a little louder and the second bars more like an echo. Measure 13. Now I'm not rolling those chords all the time. Sometimes I do, especially the second time when there's 4 notes in the chord. I might roll it. Measure 13, I might play more straight. Now in this situation, because there's a harmony note, I'm letting the thumb take the melody in the right hand, measure 14. Measure 18, you have alternating fingers for this repeated note pattern. So it's right, left, right. If you can give it an accent, da 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 da. It's a little bit of a tricky pattern. I had to practice this a lot. I don't always get the pulse just as I want it. That brings us to the second page of High Meadows, where we finally get to hear that beautiful flat 7th in the B flat scale. That's the B mixolydian sound, which I think is really cool. Now in measure 24, we have our first ornament, which I've used a cymbal for. I'm just doing a little turn. Slow down. In measure 28, where I have a lot of ornamentation. I've written them out, but they're still just ornaments. All of these ornaments work at a slow tempo, but if you take a more brisk tempo, you may find some of those notes just come out, and that's okay. Remember, they're just ornaments. They're meant to convey the fluttering of butterfly wings, the movement of the flowers in the wind. Ornaments are not a hill to die on. If you're struggling with the ornaments, just smooth it out. Take some of those notes out instead of try just taking out the first E. Again, in the next one, take out the first two notes of that ornament and just play. You can do that. Or take out the first E in that set of 4. You see, you can do this. You make an ornament that's pretty for you and that you can play at the tempo you choose. And the faster you play the piece, the harder it's going to be to get all of those notes in. You may have noticed in my recording, I don't get all those notes in all the time. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But it's the fluttering of wings, and that is just something that happens in nature. So you let your ornaments be what your butterflies are doing at the time. Now, starting at measure 36, we come back to that 3-3-2 rhythmic pulse. As much as you can, lean into it. Suggestion to you is to avoid turning pages by memorizing all of measures 40 through 47, and in fact memorize measure 48 as well. I wrote measure 48 especially so you would have time to turn the page. When you get to the 2 coda mark at the top of page 2, it's almost all in the right hand, so you have plenty of time, and I even gave you a molto retard. And a tempo. Now in measure 50, where we've got this back and forth between the hands, if I'm using wonderful harp technique, I'm probably going to buzz more there. I found that I approach the strings very quickly and kind of at this angle so that they're not touching and brushing the other strings. It's a bit of a different sound, but it works for this little bit right there. Not as much buzzing. Maybe the left hand can come at an angle straight up and down. The right hand can come in sideways. I kind of have a locked hand position. My fingers aren't closing at all. is the fingering I use for measures 60 and 61. I'll do that again. And that gets you through to the end of the piece. I hope this helps. I love it if you give me your feedback. It helps me to know what you would like to learn from these little lessons. This song, High Meadows, can be found in A Walk in the Mountains, a book inspired by our backpacking trips in the Oregon wilderness. And I thank you for supporting me by buying the sheet music through your favorite Harp Music sheet music seller. Let me know how you're using the piece. I always love hearing from you. And maybe that's the buzzing of the bees. You just tell your audience it's supposed to have buzzes there. Hear those bees? Aren't they wonderful? To play it without 1 and 2 and 3. I can't count and play at the same time. 1